Hello guys, welcome back. And now in this session we are going to talk about code editors, how it is different from IDE. Already we have seen what is the concept of code editor. We have discussed different features of code editor, and now it's a time to understand how code editors are different from IDE. Most of the time we get confused whether IDE is better or code editor we have to use. Now this session will help you to find out what to choose and when to choose. So let's jump into mind map where we are trying to understand what is exact difference between code editor and IDE. Before joining to mind map, if you are new to my channel, please subscribe my channel, click on notification icon so that you will get notification of newly uploaded videos. So let us start quickly. This is mind map. Now we are going to we have already discussing concepts, and we have seen what is the purpose of using code editor. We have also seen what are different features, and now we are going to talk about difference between IDE and code editor. So to understand the difference between code editor and IDE, we are going to use 6 different points. Then let us start with the first one. The first point is a scope. Now, scope of IDE and scope of code editor. Now, code editor are focused on actual code that we are going to type and manipulating that code. So, actual typing of code is the main scope of the code editor. On the other hand, if you think about IDE provides a set of different features. Those are required for entire project development process. So, whatever tools and plugins those are required, everything will be provided by IDE, whether it might be a compiler or output box or testing, whatever, everything will be provided in IDE. On the and code editor mainly focuses on typing of code and writing of code. So this is the first thing, the scope. They are different, and if you see the scope of code editor is very limited in comparison with IDE. The second one is its heaviness, the lightweight versus comprehensive. Now, if you see the code editors, they are very lightweight and therefore they are running faster than IDEs. If you see the code editors, they are having very minimum things, those are required while writing the code. On the other hand, IDE is having too many features and plugins inside it, and which creates this IDE is very heavy, and therefore IDE is somewhat heavy and code editor is somewhat lighter, and because of that using code editors becomes easy for developer. We can start with code editor even with less resources. We don't need heavy memory and processor to work with code editors, but some IDEs requires very heavy processor, RAM and operating system demands. The third one is customization. Now, customization depends upon the habit of code writer, a programmer. Now, you might be having different kinds of habits, and the customization is very effective when you are having certain habits and you want to maintain throughout the development process of your project. Now, if you see the code editors, they are more customizable. It provides high degree of customization and it allows developer to set the requirement as per demand, as per requirement. So you can customize the views, you can customize the process, you can customize font and text and lot of things. So everything is flexible in case of code editor. But in case of IDEs, this customization is not up to that mark. No doubt some customization will be provided, and it again depends upon which IDE you are using. So some IDEs offers some good customization options too, but in comparison with code editors, the customization will be less in IDE and customization will be more in code editor. Now, because of this customization, one more feature is available, and that is you can set language. So we can use same code editor with multiple languages, and according to requirement of your project, you can customize which language you are going to use. And you can also customize the colors, font, text, and lot of things, lookup, So everything is possible in case of code editor, but in case of IDE, this kind of facility will not be available. The fourth point to discuss is a learning curve. Every time when we are going to use a new code editor, or when we are going to use a new IDE, we have to learn the code editor, the software, or the IDE. Know how to create a new folder, how to create a new project, how to add a new file in a project, how to compile the program, how to save it, and how to set different settings. So we have to learn a lot of things when it comes for learning. And if you see, the code editors are very easy to learn because they don't have that much tools or things inside it to learn, and therefore learning code editors is very easy and a quick process because of it's a simple interface and fewer features those are available inside. On the other hand, if you see the IDE, we have to take some time, we have to spend some time to learn new concepts, new techniques on that IDE, and once we are having hands on it, we can start with the project. So if you see the learning curve for code editors, it is very easy to learn, and that's why easily we can shift from one code editor to another code editor. On the other hand, it takes some time, and therefore it is not possible to change IDE in between or to change IDE immediately, because we have to train our people, or we have to train ourselves to write code by using that IDE. So learning curvature, again code editor takes more mark on this point. The point number 5 is extensibility. Code editors are often designed to be easily extendable through plugins and extensions. So we can add different plugins in a code editor. On the other hand, IDEs are also having some extensions or plugins inside it, but they are not more in the numbers. They are already integrated in your IDE, or something we can add later on, but the number of plugins or extensions are very less because IDE comes with all extensions and all tools those are required to compile and complete your project. But code editor gives only minimum things those are required, and later on whenever a new thing is required, we can add through plugins. So number of plugins are more in case of code editors, but number of plugins and extensions are less in case of IDE. So it allows code editor to enhance the functionality of code editor by adding new plugins. On the other hand, developer cannot change the functionality of IDE because number of extensions available in IDE are very less. Now let's come to the last point, that is example. Now already we have seen the differences between IDE and code editor. So first one is the scope, for what we are going to use it. Then it's a built up, lightweight or comprehensive. Then it's a customization, how much customizable the things are. And the last one is a curving and extendability. And finally, we are going to talk about different examples. So let us go for examples of code editor. Now code editors are used for writing a code, and here are some examples. Now Visual Studio Code, or we can call it as a VS Code. Now, VS Code is a code editor which is used for a lot of different programming languages. Similarly, we can use Sublime Text or Atom or a Notepad++ like code editors, and they are useful for different programming languages. Now let's see some examples of IDEs. Now Visual Studio, that is useful for a .NET programming projects. So we can use VB.NET, C#.NET inside it, but especially Visual Studio is used for .NET based programming languages. Eclipse is one more IDE that is useful for Java programming. IntelliJ IDEA, PyCharm, or you can call it as a PyCharm, whatever, but PyCharm is useful for Python. Turbo C IDE, which is useful for writing C and C++ programs. So these are different examples of IDEs and code editor. I hope this information is useful for deciding whether to use code editor or IDE and how to select it on the basis of these 5 different points. If you found this information useful, please click on like button and share this video with your friends. Also subscribe my channel and keep visiting my channel. Click on the notification icon so that you will get notifications of my new videos. So thank you very much for watching this video. Happy learning.